Skiffle was very much a do-it-yourself music. Apart from the acoustic guitar, it featured everyday household items. A washboard, which every mother would have in those days, was a key part of the rhythm section.
Fantastic rhythm instrument, and usually it's played with thimbles or coins. I've got a coin here, and makes a fantastic noise, cuts right through a whole load of guys with guitars and stuff.
The other key instrument in the rhythm section was the tea chest bass. A tea chest is a large packing case used for importing loose leaf tea. And what you do is you take a piece of string and stick it through the centre of the bottom of the upturned box and attach it to the top of a broom pole. And with that, you can make a very rudimentary bass sound.
Pull like that to get a high note, relax it to get a low note, or you can go down to get a high note.
Beautiful.
That's it.
That's beautiful. The great thing about it as a musical instrument, it has absolutely no points of reference for where the notes are. It's all done by ear, which is, again, if there were parts here where you refer to the notes, you'd have to learn how to play it. As it is, you don't. You just kind of make it up as you go along. Where do you get the musical broom handles from? I mean, what, you know, and what's the difference between a musical broom handle?
Well, they don't grow on trees, you know them. They don't grow on trees.
It was a special type of wood. I mean,
This one's made by Leo Fender.
Down the Rock Island Line, she's a mighty good road. Rock Island Line is the road to ride. Yes, the Rock Island Line, she's a mighty good road. If you want to ride, gotta ride it like you're trying to get your ticket at the station at the Rock Island Line.
In November 1956, Lonnie Donegan took Skiffle out on its first national tour. Here at the Empire Theatre in Liverpool, 13-year-old George Harrison came every night of the week to see his Skiffle hero. 14-year-old Paul McCartney came one night, went home and told his father he no longer wanted to play the trumpet, he wanted to play the guitar. And we don't know if John Lennon saw Lonnie Donegan in that week in 1956, but we do know 2 weeks later he formed his own skiffle band, the Quarrymen.
I didn't know John, you know, as a schoolboy. I'd already started work, hence I could afford a small drum kit. So once Eric heard that I had a drum kit, he was hot-footed up to my house and said, "Can I see them? Can I hear you play them?" So I put a jazz record on, which is all I'd done in the living room, and played along. He said, "Right, come down to my house and meet the rest of the band. You're in the Quarrymen."
Well, you know, it's the same if you'd have had a van. They'd have probably invited you, and it's always the great way to become part of the band. And what about you, Lynn?
John said, "Well, the guy called Bill Smith doesn't turn up for rehearsals, Len. Do you want to come in on the bass?" I said, "Okay. Might be a chance to sing a couple of songs." I didn't know I was going to be playing that thing. I was stuck with it.
On the 6th of July 1957, in St Peter's Church Hall in Walton near Liverpool, John Lennon met Paul McCartney for the first time and asked him to join the Quarrymen.
What were the circumstances under which you met Paul McCartney?
I knew Paul from the Institute, you see. It wasn't a surprise to me that he wanted to join a band because he used to, at Christmas time, he used to bring his guitar in at the Institute and play, you know, Christmas time. So I knew he could play guitar. But he did a Little Richard impersonation. Little Richard had come in, and I didn't know he could get that high pitch. And I said to John, "That's amazing, that you can get that. You can't do that." So that's what impressed me, his Little Richard impersonation.
And what was Lennon's reaction to him coming in?
Well, he didn't show an awful lot of emotion, really, which was typical.
John took his time, even when I was taken down. Even when Eric took me down to meet him, he didn't talk to me, I don't think, on the first. He just sat back and weighed me up. I was older than him then. I was a working man. And I think the same with Paul. Is he going to be a threat to my leadership? I mean, he did lead, but only because he sang. When we came off stage, it was Paul who said to John, "John, we've got to write our own stuff. It's the only way we're going to get anywhere. We've got to do stuff that the other bands don't know."
It all kind of starts to peter out, doesn't it, by the time you get to 1958?
Because when Elvis came in the scene, you see,
well,
changed everything.
I have a bone to pick with these rock and rollers because the last Skiffle group that appeared at the Cavern was in 1960, and which was Johnny Duncan and the Bluegrass Boys, and the first all rock and roll night at the Cavern was 1960. So Skiffle had a longer life than people are prepared to admit sometimes. It was dying. It took a long time to die.
We'll concede that for you, okay.
That's certainly true.
It was writhing on the floor when we...
They were giving it a good kicking. Without Lonnie Donegan and Skiffle, my life would be very, very pale and uninteresting, I think.
60-odd years after your dad put Rock On Line into the charts, what would you say is the legacy of your dad in that moment?
I guess the biggest legacy is he kick-started the British rock industry. That's the biggest thing I can say.
Doesn't get much bigger than that, mate.
It doesn't.